Right, some massive breaking news reaching us from Liverpool. Matter of hours after their 3-3 draw at Leeds United, Mo Salah has delivered a bombshell interview to journalists. And within that interview, and this is in the mix zone after the game, where he's willingly spoken, he said, for example, quotes like this: "It seems like the club has thrown me under the bus. That is how I'm feeling. I think it's very clear that someone wanted me to get all of the blame." And in terms of his relationship with Arne Slot, he says that the relationship has broken down. There's no relationship between us. It was a very good relationship. Now, all of a sudden, there is no relationship. And when asked, what do you do with the situation now, he said, "It is not acceptable for me. I don't know why this is happening to me. I don't get it. I think if this was somewhere else, every club would protect its player. How I see it now is like you throw Mo under the bus because he is the problem in the team now. But I don't think I am the problem. I have done so much for this club." The questions continue, as you would expect, in the mix zone, with incredible interest in what Mo Salah is saying. And he said, "Is this your last game for Liverpool?" Well, he said, "In football, you never know. I don't accept the situation." And again, he reiterates, "I have done so much for the club." We'll go back through more of these quotes from Mo Salah because they are really explosive. They honestly are. But in terms of our own coverage here at Sky Sports, Jamie Redknapp also discussed Salah's future on Saturday Night Football for that 3-3 draw against Leeds before these quotes emerged. And this is what Jamie had to say.
He's probably thinking, why am I not starting? The facts are his form hasn't been good enough. Now, I don't foresee a situation where Liverpool, because I think they would have so much respect for him, that they'll be actively trying to move him. I think if he were to happen, it's accelerated really quickly, and if something were to happen as quickly as January, it will come more from him.
Could that happen with the African Cup of Nations, though, going on? Because he's going to disappear after that
He's going to go away, I think, next week, is it after?
Week on Monday.
A week on Monday. Anything can happen in football. If he really decides and he speaks to his agent and they go, "Look, it's not sustainable. I don't want to..."
Do you think that would be the best solution for everybody then, if that happened in January?
I don't necessarily think in January. I think we've got to just let this settle. But I don't foresee that he'll see out his 2 years of his contract. I think it might be more in the summer if he were to go. When Mo's at his best, of course you want him in that team because he gives you a better balance. Conor Bradley as well, I think will probably say he'd rather have him out there. I think if you ask Dominic Szoboszlai, does he want to play right wing? No, he wants to play as a central player.
Let's just recap some more of these quotes. So just to remind you, these were given in the mix zone after the game at Ellen Road. This is where the players pass through, journalists try and grab a word with them. Mo Salah doesn't often speak, but on this occasion he chose to, and he gave some just absolutely fascinating comments to the journalists that were there. So they asked him what he was thinking sat on the bench. He said, "I didn't know what to say. It's funny, I couldn't believe it." And then when they pressed him on what he couldn't believe, he said that I'm sitting on the bench for 90 minutes. The third time on the bench. I think for the first time in my career, I'm very, very disappointed, to be fair. I've done so much for this club down the years and especially last season. And asked whether this whole situation hurt him. And he said, "Absolutely. After what I've done for the club, it really hurts. You can imagine, really, after going from home to the club, you don't know if you're starting. I know the club too well. I've been here many years." Interestingly, he has mentioned another of our own pundits here at Sky Sports because he's name-checked Jamie Carragher. He says, "Tomorrow, Carragher's going to go for me again and again, and that's fine." That is potentially a reference to something that Jamie Carragher said recently, where he said that Mo Salah needs to speak up with Liverpool in such a difficult spell of form recently, with all of those defeats in the last few weeks and months as champions of England defending their title. And he was asking Mo Salah to stand up and try and represent the club because he said the only time that Mo Salah speaks is if he's won the Player of the Match award or if he wants to renew or is close to a contract renewal. Is this situation impossible to solve? I cannot say it's impossible, went on Salah, but from what I feel, I've done so much for the club. I love the fans and the club so much. I don't know what is going to happen next. And then it continues around this notion of him being thrown under the bus and whether someone really wants him out. So he was asked, when you say about someone wanting you out, who? Salah said he didn't know. Then it was put to him, would it be potentially the sporting director? And he rejected that. He didn't really want to talk anymore, but he said, no, don't put the words in my mouth. From the situation I see, that's it. And had anyone communicated to explain this situation to you? I did, but I don't see an explanation. I knew yesterday I wasn't going to play and that's it, so take it and swallow it and go home. He says that Arne Slot knows that he's disappointed. He knows my feeling. And then it gets on to his relationship with the Liverpool boss. Has the relationship broken down? And he's been very, very clear about this. Yes, there's no relationship between us. It was a very good relationship. And now, all of a sudden, there is no relationship. Has something changed behind the scenes? And then he said, you guys know better than me. I don't know. So a wide-ranging set of comments there from Mo Salah, who, as we mentioned before, isn't necessarily someone you hear from a huge amount in the media, in the press. But given the fact that he started this game on the bench for the third game in a row, first of all, talking about how he is deeply disappointed, that he's been thrown under the bus. It seems like the club has thrown me under the bus. These are direct quotes from Mo Salah. That is how I am feeling. I think it is very clear that someone wanted me to get all of the blame. So he's pointing the finger at the club, saying that someone essentially wants him to be the fall guy for Liverpool's current form, and his relationship with the manager, Arne Slot, that has gone from very good to non-existent, and that this is not acceptable for him. He doesn't understand why it's happening to him. Obviously, we heard it a little bit there when Jamie Redknapp was talking about his potential future, but this really is the clearest indication yet that Mo Salah wants to move on because it's not going the way he would want it to at Liverpool Football Club with these benched appearances. Is Saudi still on the table was one of the quotes that was asked, was one of the questions that was asked him. He said, I don't want to answer this question because the club is going to take me to a different direction, suggesting perhaps that the Saudi Pro League isn't his next destination. So yes, it's quite clear here in these quotes that Mo Salah is pointing the finger at Liverpool, not happy with his situation right now, not just not starting, but that he's given so much to this football club, that he loves this football club, that he loves the fans, but he's incredibly disappointed that his relationship with Arne Slot has totally broken down. But for me, the key quote here, it seems like the club has thrown me under the bus. That is how I'm feeling. I think it is very clear that someone wanted me to get all of the blame.
Okay, so let's dive into the pretty extraordinary drama that just exploded at Liverpool after that 3-3 draw with Leeds.
Yeah, this one is all about Mo Salah. He gave this rare, unfiltered interview right after the match.
And that's what we're going to unpack. Our whole mission here is to really get into the specific words he used in that mixed zone.
Right. No PR prep, just raw emotion. We're going to contrast what he's feeling, this sense of betrayal, with how the analysts are seeing his actual performance on the pitch.
So he comes out, and the first thing he does is drop an absolute bombshell. The quote is, "It seems like the club has thrown me under the bus. That is how I'm feeling."
Wow. I mean, there's no ambiguity there at all. He goes on to say he thinks someone clearly wanted him to get all of the blame.
He's not just venting, is he? It feels tactical. He immediately positions himself as the victim.
Exactly. He draws this contrast, saying every club would protect its player. The implication being Liverpool isn't.
And then he plays his biggest card. I don't think I am the problem. I have done so much for this club. He's using his own legendary status against them.
But you have to understand the context here. It gives it so much more weight. This was his third straight game sitting on the bench.
He said he was very, very disappointed to be benched for the full 90 minutes.
And then he adds that it was maybe the first time in my career that's happened. By saying that, he's basically justifying his entire outburst.
Which leads us to the next bomb he drops, the relationship with the manager, Arne Slot.
Oh, yeah. He's not subtle about this at all.
Not at all. He just comes right out and says the relationship is broken down, full stop.
His exact words were, it was a very good relationship. Now all of a sudden there is no relationship.
He just feels so final. But is it genuine shock, or is he, sort of laying the groundwork to force a move out of Liverpool?
That's the million-dollar question. Because while he's painting this picture of being wronged, you have the other side of the story.
The external view.
Right. And what's amazing is that the pundit, Jamie Redknapp, he said all this before Salah even gave the interview.
And what was his take?
Pretty blunt. He just said Salah's recent form hasn't been good enough. It's not personal, it's just about the numbers.
So Redknapp sees it as a performance issue, not a club conspiracy.
Yeah, and he predicted any move would come from Salah, not the club. He thinks a summer exit is likely and that he probably won't see out his contract.
And Salah seems totally aware of this media narrative. He even brings up another pundit by name.
He does. Jamie Carragher. He says something like, "Tomorrow Carragher is going to go for me again and again."
Which is a direct callback to when Carragher was demanding he speak up a few weeks ago. So Salah knows he's in a PR battle.
It's incredible. So what you're left with is this massive public standoff. You have this star player basically saying, "I don't accept the situation."
And effectively demanding a divorce right in front of the cameras.
Pitted against this external view that, look, his benching is justified because he's been underperforming. The whole thing has moved from a private issue to a public crisis.
But the final detail, the part that really hints at what's next, was when a reporter asked him about Saudi Arabia.
Yes, this was the real tell. He dodged the question, but his reason for dodging it was everything.
What did he say?
He said he didn't want to answer because, and I'm quoting, "the club is going to take me to a different direction."
Whoa, so he's saying he has a path he wants to take.
A direction he wants to go in, yeah. But he thinks the club is now going to interfere and force his hand, maybe send him somewhere else. So now that this war is public, the provocative thought for you is, which direction is actually going to win out? His or the club's?